Hey everyone, welcome back to the New Wave Media podcast. This is George, your host, and we are on episode number 12, here with Elijah Lundgren, our co-host.
What's up, George?
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. We've had a pretty busy week as always. Let's get it started.
Yeah,
go for it.
So here's the thing, man. Usually we just kind of jump into the stuff on this, and I wanted to ask you a question because right before we hopped on this podcast, I was reading a blog post by a really popular landscape photographer in the area. His name's Darren White. Does really amazing landscape photography, lots of beaches and sunsets and, typical landscape photography stuff.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how images now are much different from images years ago in the way that they're manipulated and in the way that they're processed. And it was kind of like a transparent post. He was like, kind of just explaining like, here's what a single image looks like. Here's what an HDR image looks like. Here's what a stack for like astrophotography looks like. Blah, 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 blah. He went through a whole bunch of stuff. And it got me thinking, man, what are your thoughts? I know you and I don't really do a ton of like landscape stuff. And I used to do a lot of it, but I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on how much processing is appropriate or acceptable or however you want to phrase it in a landscape photo before like you should disclose that it's not its natural form, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, good question. I think that personally, if you're the one taking the photo, you don't have to disclose anything. Okay. I feel like up to a certain point, and what that means is we know that even now there's a lot of things that are AI generated.
Right.
We just saw a video.
I want to get to that too.
Yeah, we just saw a video with Peter McKinnon who was doing some AI stuff, trying to figure out if it was AI or if it was real or what part of the image was AI.
Yeah, he had a user. He put out a thing on, I think it was Twitter, or no, it was what's that?
It's called X now, by the way. It's rebranded.
Twitter. Yeah, I know it's getting there. We'll talk about that another time. Is it Verbo? Is that the
Vero, I think.
Vero. So he put out a thing on Vero about he was like, send me your AI images and I'm going to try to figure out what parts of them are AI and what parts of them are real. If you haven't seen this video, go check it out. It's Peter McKinnon. You probably know who he is. Really interesting video, really kind of fun take on it. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, so I think my take on that is you shouldn't disclose anything if you don't want to.
Okay.
I think that to a certain extent, you should disclose that if you're trying to portray a photographer. So what that means is if I take a landscape photo and I manipulate the photo, Photoshop, AI, whatever it is, I think as long as there's like, for example, like 20% of the image there that you took is original. My opinion is like, hey, you took that, you are creating art, that is your thing. Like you shouldn't have to disclose anything.
Okay.
However, if you AI generate something and 99% of that image is not real, I think there's a fine line between photography and then graphic designer.
Okay.
I think Are you claiming you're a photographer or are
maybe,
you
maybe graphic artist?
Graphic artist, exactly.
Yeah.
So like at that point, you shouldn't have the title as a photographer. I think the title should be graphic artist or something to do,
or at least like that image shouldn't necessarily be called a photograph. It should be called like graphic art. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yes. So to answer
art.
it, I don't think you should disclose anything.
Okay.
Really, like for example, weddings, like. I don't have to tell my wedding clients that I manipulated the background to match the left side with the right side.
That was kind of the next thing I was going to say is how do you feel about that kind of manipulation in wedding photos where, the people that you deliver it to may very well know, like, oh, that's not what the sky looked like on that day. I think that's kind of the most common, thing in wedding photos is like if you're out doing the formal photos and you have just kind of a gray sky or even just like a blue sky and there's no character, there's no color.
No clouds.
A lot of people will just replace the sky and make it look dramatic.
I think that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All day long, no worries.
Interesting.
Same with weddings and AI, for example, like
Yeah.
I just mentioned, I think it's fine. I think it's fair game all the way around.
Okay.
I think what you bring to the table before your clients buy or purchase a what am I trying to say here? Before they grab you as their photographer,
Yeah, before they choose you, when they're looking at your body
Yeah.
of work.
is your body of work similar to what you're going to deliver to
Right.
them? You can't just have a body of work where it's mostly just all natural vibes
Yeah.
and then just deliver them all a bunch of AI generated
Yeah.
stuff. Like
Okay.
there's a fine line right there.
So you're saying, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, if somebody went to your portfolio and your portfolio is full of like incredible images,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, let's say all of them are at least 50% AI or like deep Photoshop, like deep manipulation,
Yeah.
you don't think that you should have to disclose that in any way. You think that you just need to deliver that once you go through and like if they hire you, you
Correct.
just need to make sure you deliver something that is in line with what they saw on your portfolio.
Absolutely. Correct.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, I
I think
respect
that's
that.
the whole reason why they got you in the first place.
Yeah.
You could be in a wedding day and then you like, for example, for me, I say things like, hey, I know this background looks a little weird, but hey, I'm going to do this to the right side. I think this will go really, really well. Like I'm pretty vocal with that.
Right.
And I'm also vocal with little things like, oh, don't even worry about that scar. Like that's going to be gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So like the fact that I'm disclosing that much, they don't have to know like, oh, I'm going through Photoshop, I'm manipulating this or that. It's just, hey, it's going to turn out great. You already know my style. This is what you picked.
Okay.
And there we go.
Okay. Cool. I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was just curious. I mean, I know kind of where I stand, and it's sort of similar to you. I think that yes, at a certain point, you should probably call yourself a digital artist versus a photographer, wedding photographer, landscape photographer, whatever. But
Correct.
I think that some of the back in the day when people would shoot, like when there was no digital photography, it was all film. People's argument is always, well, you had to get it right in the camera, and that's not actually true.
That's not true.
Yeah,
People
I
would
mean-
manipulate that when they do the prints.
Exactly. There's all kinds of things you can do in the light room or in the dark room. And
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
light room. You can tell where I live.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things you can do in the dark room to manipulate an image to look the way you want it
Yeah.
to look. Dodging and burning is something that wasn't invented in Photoshop.
That is
was
one of the things I was going to bring up.
Right.
Dodging and burning alone, while you're processing your photo or translating it onto a picture
Yeah.
like paper,
yeah.
you got to do it all in the dark room. And you either add more light to a certain area or you remove more light
Right.
in a certain area.
And that's photo manipulation.
It
That
is,
that
yeah.
is changing what that photo actually looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that I can understand people who feel that a photo should be realistic. It should be within the realm of what it actually looked like, especially for like a wedding photographer or something along those lines. But I also agree with what you say. If that is what your portfolio looks like, if
Yes.
I follow. There's a photographer named Amy Booker. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's a big photographer here in Oregon, and a lot of her images are like very heavily processed. But she has this like dreamy, like warm, like her style is amazing. I love her style, but it's way more processed than I would do on like my photos. So it's just interesting to kind of hear other people's
so when it
perspectives.
comes to that, like even when you're going into that direction of like photo manipulation,
Yeah.
and your portfolios like that,
Right.
people go to you for that, and you can charge a premium price, not
Yeah.
only because you are going above and beyond the normal natural photo.
Right.
Like now you're putting in even more work. I
Yeah.
bet you it takes her a while to get to where she needs to
Yeah.
be for that photo to be done.
Definitely. And the cool thing about her is she kind of blends both aspects. Like she has a huge body of work that is probably mostly natural. I mean, she might do, maybe some gradient filters or like a little extra color work or something like that. But then she has some images that are like, at least to my eye, I believe are very processed and like things have been replaced or changed or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's tasteful and it looks good. I don't know. It's just interesting to hear what people
Yeah.
think, because this is kind of a controversial topic in the photography
Absolutely.
world. So, and
Yeah.
with AI becoming such a accessible and impressive tool,
Yeah.
there's a lot. I mean, big news over the last couple months. The Photoshop beta has the content aware. You can basically like select an area, type what you want, and it'll attempt to put whatever that is wherever you want it. And like those tools are just now kind of coming to the mainstream, and like that's going to get big. Like that's going to get good someday.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree.
just interesting to kind of see how
Man.
how it's all
I think
shaken
it's
out.
interesting. It's interesting to see what your opinion is, what my opinion is.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're pretty similar.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, like you're a professional, and you know at the end of the day what's ethical in the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
ethical is a good way to put it. I mean, I think that, kind of what you said, I don't think you necessarily should be required or should be expected to disclose that kind of image editing. But I think if somebody asks you, like,
yeah.
wow, did it really look like that? Ethically, maybe you should be like, well,
No, I specialize in, photo manipulation
Yeah.
or Photoshop,
Right.
and this is part of my
it's part of my
workflow.
style. It's part of my brand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, cool. Well, those of you that are watching on YouTube, I would love to hear what people think. Leave a comment. Let us
Yeah,
know how
love
you
to.
feel about photo manipulation, because it's a really interesting topic to me. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so-
tell us a little bit about what's been going on, George.
Over the weekend, we put together a soft opening kind of shout out. Let's get people in the door before we do a grand opening.
Yeah.
And what that means and what that looks like, at least in our heads, is we have 3 different slots. I think it's like 8 a.m. to 11. Then we have 12 to 3, and then 4 to 7.
Yeah.
And the way we're thinking about that is having people sign up, which they've already signed up for different time slots, but we want to have a group of people, either the first, second, or third slot, and we want to have everyone from models, makeup artists, to videographers, photographers, really any creative to come to the space and not only get to know the space, get to know us, but also just create. Maybe you bring a friend, maybe you bring a model.
Spend a little bit of time in here just playing around.
Exactly. And it's meant for the creatives to kind of get their first sneak peek at the studio.
Yeah.
And along with that, we're going to be going and giving away, some really awesome discounted rates that will last for the whole year.
Yep.
For the rest of the year, I should say. And, as a thank you for coming by, taking time out of your day just to come check us out.
Yeah.
And the hopes is to also have just some refreshments, having maybe some donuts, some like snacks, something to get that energy going, some music, and just vibing and hanging out, creating a community.
Having a little social situation here.
Exactly. And I think what's cool about that is, we've already launched our website. It's like a soft website.
Yeah.
And
It's got pretty much everything you need at this point. I mean, the things that we do, right? The website right now will take you to a studio page, which will tell you everything there is to know at this time about our studio.
correct. Yeah.
And then there's a podcast link. It'll take you to our YouTube, because that's where we would like you to watch our podcast, listen to our podcast, consume our podcast. And then there's a contact page and kind of an overview of everything on there. And that's pretty much it.
We have been getting a couple of questions like, hey, when is your booking available? When can we start booking? How far in advance should we start booking?
Yeah.
And everything is going to be live on the grand opening day, which is mostly going to consist of an open house day.
Yeah.
What that means is anyone in the community, whether you're a client, you're a model, photographer, really anybody that wants and needs to use the studio,
Anybody that just wants to even check it out. I mean,
come through.
friends and family too that know about this and haven't
Yeah.
had a chance to come see, that would be the day to come see it.
Yep.
The open house will be on the 6th of August, Sunday the 6th, which is exactly a week after the
Soft
opening.
Soft opening is July 30th.
Right. And the soft opening is invite only. I mean, you can express interest to get an invitation, but the idea is for it to be invitation only, just so that we can kind of keep a keep a handle on how many people will be here around what time. And
Yeah,
you know,
and I think one of the bigger reasons for that is because if we get too many people during one certain time slot,
Yeah.
we won't have the time to go around and really talk to everybody, which is
exactly.
what we want to
Yeah,
do.
we want to be able to interact with everybody that comes in and, you know, answer any questions and make sure that they get that one-on-one time. And so, yeah, we just kind of want to keep 3 chunks of kind of smaller groups. And,
Yeah.
and
And if time allows, like, hey, you brought a friend, there's a makeup artist here, there's a whole time, to shoot around, like,
Yeah.
ask us questions. We're happy to help you
Yeah.
shoot around. What would you like to learn more about, whether it's the lights or you already know what to do, just
Right.
shoot around. Hopefully, in hopes of, like, if you post anything, tag the studio so people know that we're here. We're in, the newest Portland, Oregon's studio for creatives. So
yeah.
love to get the word out there.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And we've also, I'm kind of surprised at, like, we had, when we put out the initial video that said, hey, come apply to this, and we put up the link and all
Yeah.
that, like, immediately.
Dude, it was, and this was like
had
late
people-
night. This was
Yeah.
what, maybe
I think we posted
11:30?
I think we posted about 10 o'clock at
10
night.
o'clock?
Yeah, and like literally within minutes, we had a few people that had reached out, and then throughout the next day, we had more people reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool. And then, we're about to post another, or I guess right before we started this, we posted another video. So hopefully that kind of
Yeah.
gives us a new wave of people who want to
Oh,
come
I
through.
see what you did there. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm really excited, and it seems like the people that are responding to it are really excited about coming through.
I agree, and that makes me happy. I'm looking forward to see what other people are here. What can I learn from others?
Yeah.
What can I see others create in this space that, I can only think of so much,
Right.
and I would love to see what other people have to create. I think that's one of the biggest things.
That is like the thing I am the most excited for about this space, is to see what other people create in it and to learn from that, to see what I can do to kind of improve myself and build myself in this space.
And I think with that, there's a lot of opportunities for workshops that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Is not only can we teach everybody else what we know, but we would love to have others, teach us.
Yeah.
And with that, there's actually kind of some pretty cool news with Monday Pals. You want to
Yeah,
get into that?
and this actually kind of even goes into what we're talking about with the soft opening and the grand opening
Yeah.
and wanting to get people involved. For the last several months, you and I have been involved with this small group of creatives. It's generally portrait photography based. It's called Monday Morning Pals. And it used to be a weekly thing. They would meet every morning, and it would be like,
Yeah.
it'd be like portrait session, headshot trades, website audits,
Yeah, I did a lighting, off-camera flash lighting
Right, yeah.
workshop style.
Yeah, you taught people
Down
how to
in-
use off-camera flash in the wild. You guys
Yeah.
went out to Cathedral Park and did an off-camera
Yeah.
flash thing.
So really quick, shout out to Tony, who's actually the host and the one that puts together Monday Pals.
Yeah,
Her Instagram, we'll put it with the links down below in the description, I should say. But her Instagram is
Antonia Rose Photo. Photo?
Antonia Rose Photo.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah. So anyway, Monday Pals is this, like, the idea of it is to have kind of a community engagement, get people together, get people shooting, and help everybody build their brand and build their business. And we got a train going by. I wonder if
Wow.
you can hear that.
What time is it? 9:40 p.m. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. Anyway, the idea of Monday Pals is just to kind of help your peers improve and build their business and build their photography careers. And over the last couple months, Monday Pals has kind of, it's the busy season.
Wedding season,
and
for
part
sure.
of what kind of has happened with that is Monday Pals has really slowed down. But even before wedding season started, Monday Pals has never really had a home. It's been kind of a, let's meet here because this works. Like, we'll meet on this side of town, and then we'll meet on this side of town. So we approached Tony the other day and said, hey, like, we would really love to have Monday Pals live at New Wave Studio. We want New Wave to be the home of Monday Pals, the hub where everybody can come and they can gather here, and then we can go from here if we want to leave, or we can use the studio for whatever the topic is or whatever it is. But we want to create that consistent space for this thing, because we love Monday Pals, and we love the people that go to it. So
Exactly.
yeah, so Tony agreed. She loved the idea, and we are the new official home of Monday Morning Pals, which is super, super, super exciting.
And it will no longer be morning, by the way.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah,
it is no longer Monday Morning Pals. It's now
it's
just Monday
Monday
Pals.
Pals.
And it'll be in the evenings because Tony just got a new job working in the rental department at our favorite
Pro
camera
Photo.
store,
Yep.
Pro Photo Supply.
Shout out to Pro Photo.
Shout out to Pro
we
Photo
literally
Supply.
rent there like almost every week now.
Bro, I have been to Pro Photo more in the last month than I think I had been to it in my entire life prior. It is crazy. But we love Pro Photo. We love the rental department. They do.
Everybody's so nice there,
Yeah,
man.
they're
Even
awesome.
at the regular just shop.
Yeah.
Everybody's gotten to know us, and we've gotten to know them. Everybody's nice. I mean, the rental department, I feel like we're there more often.
Yeah, I mean, almost every week we're in there getting something.
Yeah, just today we dropped off a bunch of stuff, and today was Tony's first day, and we didn't see her, but she was there. She had just gone upstairs, and we're like, oh, let her know we stopped by, But yeah, man, good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, Monday Morning Pals, first day is August 14th. If you're listening to this and you're interested in getting involved in Monday Morning Pals, shoot us a message. Check out the Instagram. We're going to be putting more information up about that as it comes along. But we would love to have you. It's another way to get into the studio and check it out and mess around and not have to book it. You know what I mean? So it's a great way to just kind of get your foot in the door.
Yeah,
so
I agree. There's a lot of opportunities there. And, speaking of Pro Photo and rentals.
Yeah, I was going to make the exact same segue,
Yeah,
George.
so basically that leads to what we did over the weekend.
Yeah, why did we rent so much gear this weekend?
Yeah,
also, actually, maybe we should start with what did we rent this weekend, George?
Yeah, this weekend we rented a recorder, we rented some ND filters, a 15 to 35 RF, was it F 2.8?
2.8, yeah.
85 1.2, or I was going to say 2.8. Anyways,
that lens is a dream.
That 85 1.2, specifically the RF mount one, is so many. I personally feel like generations ahead of the last EF version.
I never used the EF one, but I know it was legendary.
That EF was definitely legendary, but the autofocus is chef's kiss.
Oh man.
The sharpness. How could you get sharper is what my question.
That thing.
And it's so good.
It blows my mind.
So good.
It's massive.
Man.
It is so big.
It is. That's our second or third time renting it now.
It is, yeah, I think the third time in the last month. We've rented it almost every week.
And so anyways, we rented all that because we have done our very first official duo of photo/video. You've been doing video work.
I've been doing, that was my third week in a row filming weddings.
Yeah, and we've done weddings together. We've done, whether it's first and second shooting or whatever the case may be.
But it's always been stills, except the last one we did earlier this month. I did a lot of, well, you did a little bit, but I did a lot of hybrid shooting for that wedding, doing a little bit of video and a little bit of stills for Jenny's wedding.
Jenny's wedding. Yep. Yeah, that's right. And so we were doing again photos only, but then I was like, hey, let's throw in some of this hybrid stuff.
Yeah. Let's try it out.
Try it out. Man, it worked out great.
It was great. Yeah, there's some good, there's some really good clips. But
so yeah, that being said, I think maybe why don't you take it away? Tell us kind of what happened, as our first time working together, and
it was.
What did it feel like?
I think the fun thing is, and you've said this a couple times, and I think the more it's said, the more it kind of sinks in. That was the first New Wave Media branded wedding package that we did. Right, that was the first time. You showed up as the photographer, I showed up as the videographer, and we fucking slayed that shit.
We had cameras.
Yes.
Well, let me rephrase that. Of course. We had stills cameras. Yes. We had video cameras. The rigs that we had.
Man.
Top handles, monitors, cameras.
I bought a cage for my camera just for
cage.
this.
Yeah.
We had a top handle on both cameras. We had
a
shotgun mics on both cameras.
Oh yeah, the deities. Redundant audio. Four pieces of different.
Yeah. And the audio we got was crispy. But no, this was so this wedding was originally one of your clients, and the bride is a photographer. She apparently she watches our podcast, so shout out to Caitlin.
Yeah.
We loved your wedding. It was a ton of fun.
I had a lot of fun.
But
Beautiful wedding.
she's a photographer. She does boudoir and some wedding stuff, and really creative gal. And what she did when she put this wedding together was
really quick. Shout out to her Instagram. I think it's She Captures All.
yes.
All right, carry on.
She _captures_ all.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. But anyway, when she put this thing together, she put it together with the creativity of her photographer and her videographer in mind. She wanted to create a scene and a vibe that would be photographed well and would come out kind of like anybody's dream wedding, right?
Yeah.
Like the ceremony was in a barn, and they closed off the doors.
Oh, that was seriously
after,
the best.
After the whole wedding party came in, and she was, obviously the bride is the last one to come in. It's a big dramatic entrance. And as she came in, they closed the back doors, and they had like candles along the aisle, and it was just kind of almost like a candlelit entry.
Yeah, and it mixed really well with the light peeking through all the wood.
Yeah.
The barn is very old, so there's a lot of light leakage in there, mixed in with the candles.
Yeah.
And I think the colors, the aesthetic of the wedding, I think it was so good.
It was so good.
And they're a fun couple. They're great.
They were a ton of fun, and they were really good sports. And we showed up to whoever's house it was that they were getting ready, or that the bride was getting ready at with her bridesmaids, and we walked in and they were bumping some like hip hop, and like it was a good. Everybody's having a good time. Yeah. They had some drinks. They were doing makeup and hair,
shots, and capture
just
this.
Just a great vibe. We were there for a couple hours, I think, and then we moved to the venue and did all of our detail shots and did all the stuff, and it was just like. I remember you and I for the last several weeks were kind of stressing about this. Like we were way over prepared for this wedding.
Yeah.
Way over prepared.
And the thing is, we've recently decided to go this route where like we've had experiences before. Like we've been wedding photographers for years.
Right.
However, we kind of dialed into like, hey, with New Wave Media, we should create something where we put a package together, we both work together, and it's under kind of the New Wave Media brand.
Yeah. And the idea is for it to be a little bit more of a high-end experience than what we offer in our personal brands.
Yeah.
So, and I think that
so we shot this wedding with the intention of like, hey, this is New Wave Media branded. We need to do everything we can, and being over prepared is much better than not being prepared at all.
For sure. And so we had as per usual, we kind of had a lot of overkill going on in this wedding. We took the C70. That was one of our rigged out cameras. We had my camera, the R6 Mark II, caged, rigged up.
Canon R5. We had
the R5 was the stills for the whole day. And
I think we had like 7 lenses on us.
Well, let's count them.
50-1.2, 70-200 f2.8. We had the 85-1.2. We had the 100 millimeter f2.8 macro. We had the 28-70.
Yeah.
15-35.
I think you said that. No, you didn't say that.
No, I didn't say
that.
15-35. Yep. And then we did bring the 16 mil, but I don't think we've ever
used it. Yeah.
So that was 7 lenses. I don't know if I think I did 70-200. I mentioned that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So we took all those. We had a Zoom H6 recorder. We had 2 Deity shotgun mics. We had monitors on both cameras. Like we
had the wireless mic Goes.
Yeah, the Rode wireless Goes. We had 2 sets of those.
And then the Ronin.
Yeah, we had the RS3 Pro. We had the R6 on the Ronin RS3 Pro.
I think what was the best part of this, I know this is kind of like a minor thing, but it makes the difference, the whole difference in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said that right. We had a photography cart, and I've never really used
the
photography. Yeah, the wagon.
The first time, so the week before this weekend, before last, I filmed a wedding down at Silver. That was the waterfall one we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
That was the first time I took the wagon, and I didn't have near as much. Well, I guess I did. I had both cameras. I did take the C70 to do a static angle for their ceremony. And then I had a tripod, I had a monopod, I had 2 bags, and I had a bunch of lenses. So it was like, this is the first time I took the wagon, and man, yeah, just kind of like setting that in a corner and having it as like the hub, the place to go when we need to swap gear out was amazing. It was so useful.
I only ever used the wagon one other time, and that was at the convention center when I had those headshots for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Man, that thing came in so clutch.
That thing's awesome.
I threw everything in there. Even the what did I have? Was it a 6-foot backdrop? I think the white one that you have, is that 6 feet?
It's a 6-footer.
And
or no.
Is it less?
It's like a 5-footer.
5-footer.
Yeah.
Man, that thing came in clutch. I had the backdrop stands. I had the tripods, a camera, laptop, a monitor.
Yeah.
A place where people can, sign into the laptop, and it was great, man.
It was a great setup. So it's kind of cool. It's actually really interesting to see the way that our like preparedness and what we bring and what we provide for our clients has evolved over the last year, especially since we've like joined forces.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a little bit more of a focus, and it's a little bit easier to kind of go that extra mile because we've got both of us working on it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels good, man. It feels really good. It felt awesome to be running around with, a C70 in my left hand and a R6 Mark II in my right hand. And like, I think I usually had the 15 to 35 on the C70.
Yeah, and then I had the 50 or the 85 usually.
So I started with the 85 on the R6 Mark II. And actually, I do want to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
So normally when I film weddings, up until this point, I really cling to the gimbal because the gimbal it's really hard to mess it up, man. The RS3 Pro is top of the line. It's very reliable. The motors in it are amazing. And so pretty much anything you do, you're going to get nice, smooth footage. And for whatever reason, this wedding was the wedding where I decided I'm going to handhold a lot. I really didn't use the RS3 Pro that much. I used it during the ceremony and a couple places here and there around that. But I handheld a lot. And so my strategy with that was originally, well, I'll handhold, but I'll use stabilized lenses, which would have been the 15 to 35 or the 70 to 200.
70 to 200.
Those are the only two stabilized lenses we had.
Yeah, that's true.
So I started that way. And then I think we got maybe about halfway through the day. And at one point, I popped the 51.2 on the R6, and I was hand holding it. And the R6 has IBIS, it has in-body image stabilization. And I realized, like, holy shit, this is like a dream combination. Like, the footage that I got with the R6 and the 50 handheld is almost certainly the best stuff in that entire batch.
Dude, I'm excited,
I'm
man.
so stoked. And it's interesting to see how much you can evolve in the span of 3 or 4 wedding films. I've only done a few, and the preparedness and like the strategizing and the technique and all those things have evolved so much from that first one. And I remember I was like shitting my pants the first one. I was so worried I was going to mess it up the first time I did it, and it went off really great. And then everyone since, I've had like so much confidence, and it just keeps building and building and building.
So speaking of confidence, I think one of the biggest, how do I say this? One of the biggest pros about working together.
Yeah.
Even before we started working together, there's a lot of people that were like, "Hey, man, you guys should just join forces, man."
Dude, it was borderline annoying.
It really was.
It was borderline annoying how often. It was usually, honestly, it was like our partners for the most part. That was like, they were like, dude, you guys need to work together.
Yeah.
But it was fucking every time we saw each other, somebody had to say, you guys just got to work together. You got to work together.
And then since working together,
we've
done plenty of weddings and stuff now. And even the couple, like, I feel like we've always had compliments at our own weddings.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you did great, this, and that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like, since working together, I feel like I've noticed the compliments increasing, not only like the normal amount, but like enthusiasm, like excitement,
and like
appreciation.
Depth. Like people are really putting effort and heart into telling us how much they appreciate us being there. And that is, I've shot weddings where I get that kind of a response, but more often than not, that's like people I know really well. Like close friends' weddings I've shot and stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, I really appreciate you doing this. But like people I've never met before that day, stopping you for 5 minutes to just sit there and tell you over and over and over how much they appreciate
throughout the
everything you
day
did.
too.
Yeah.
Like the last wedding, well, not the recent one because I'm talking about even
Jenny's.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they would stop us throughout the day. They would be like, "Hey, we really appreciate it. We're so grateful to have you guys."
Or you guys are doing awesome. You guys are amazing. You guys
If
are
you need
killing
anything, let me know. Blah blah blah.
It feels so good, and it really kind of puts it into perspective that everybody that thought that we should work together was right.
Was right all along.
And look at us now. I mean, look at us now.
Together.
We're working together, and everything we do really is together.
Yeah.
As far as like business and
I feel like
goes.
I don't feel. I know I see you more than my wife every single day, or even throughout the whole week.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we work together, and then I go home and live my life.
Right. But the level of work versus living your life right now
is
a lot more work.
Yeah,
A lot more
definitely.
work.
Especially with the studio going on, the podcast,
Yeah.
our personal stuff, having weddings, wedding
Right.
season.
Wedding
like,
season.
man, there's just so much, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm enjoying this ride.
It's amazing.
I can't
man.
wait to see where else it takes us.
It's amazing. It's crazy. It's like the amount that life has changed in the last 3 months, just with like starting on this journey, with building this podcast, with like starting, all of these projects we're starting together, and like, just growing in so many ways. Like I'm blown away at how much things have changed and how much things are getting so good every day right now. So it's cool.
Yeah. So before we end it here, I would like to just for like a minute or so touch on what we did before coming back to the studio and filming.
Today?
Yeah, we went to go watch a movie, and I just kind of want to hear your thoughts. Give it a little rating, and then I'll give you mine, and then we'll end it.
All right, so we went and saw Oppenheimer.
Thoughts?
I mean, so here's the thing about that movie for me. Short of knowing who Oppenheimer is, I had no expectations for that movie whatsoever.
You said you didn't even watch
Never
the
watched
trailer.
the trailer, didn't know a thing, had no idea what it was going to be about. I just knew at some point I would probably see a nuke go off and like, cool. And like, I don't know, man. For one, just disclaimer, I am the last person that should be doing any kind of movie review.
Yeah.
But I only nodded off like 2 times in that 3-hour movie, which is honestly, that's good. I am so bad about going to movies.
Let's talk about when you nodded off and fell asleep during Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So
That kind of just tells you that.
the Little
three is
Mermaid.
good.
So the first, I basically slept through the first 20 minutes of the new Little Mermaid movie, but I was tired, man. And then it was like a power nap, and then I woke up and I was great for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, I never fully nodded off. Bro, I was trying so hard. I literally a couple of times like picked up my cup and would like take the condensation from my cup and put it on my face to
I did
wake
that a couple
myself
times,
up.
yeah.
I was like, dude, I don't want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
One, because I'm sitting between you and Victor.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I nod off, these guys are gonna fuck with me. And two, I don't want to miss out on this movie. I think that we went and saw it in the 70 millimeter variant, which was really cool to sit and watch a movie. It's really stupid. Like, it's really unfortunate that that's like cool now. Like, oh, cool. It's a 70. Like, that used to be what movies were like.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see that and kind of get that old school like film feeling. It was beautifully filmed. The acting was great. The story was interesting. It was hard as hell to follow.
It really was.
It moves very quick. It's a 3-hour movie and it moves very quickly.
Think of maybe not this quick, but the only other movie I can think of is Fast and the Furious, the newer ones. When they move,
That's a curveball.
no. I'm not talking about like storyline or CGI or anything. I'm talking about how fast the movie moves.
Oh, okay.
Like you're watching a Fast and the Furious movie. They're in their kitchen cooking up something, and then within the next scene, they're fucking flying to Dubai.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just moves so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and Oppenheimer just kind of like jumped around a lot.
Yeah.
It was like we're
Back in time, forward in time.
Yeah, it jumps back and forth in time. But I definitely, I mean, if you got an afternoon to kill and the storyline is interesting to you, it's
Yeah.
worth a watch for sure.
Well,
it was good. What do you think?
I think from, I'm going to give it from a rating from 1 to 10, 10 being like, oh my God, this is the best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I would give it like a 7. I think the reason being is because, first of all,
Seven's not bad.
It's really not bad. It's not bad at all. But I think a 7 because it was very hard to follow the storyline because, like I said, it jumps back and forth, not only during times,
Right.
different timeline, or not timeline, sorry. Back in time, forward in time, or sorry, present time. And
it would jump from like something's going on. Somebody says something, and then it jumps to the next scene that has something to do with what that person just said, but it's the same timeline, just a little bit farther down. And the way it jumped around was kind of disorienting.
The jump around was interesting. I think I went into this movie. First of all, I didn't see any reviews prior or anything like that, but I thought it was going to be more of an action style movie.
Yeah.
Definitely not an action movie. I think really there's the one bomb.
It is 80% dialogue.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And going in with that, I think, I nodded off. I definitely fell asleep for like a solid.
We are super good movie reviewers. Really good at this.
But yeah, overall, I would say a 7 just because towards the end, I did start to be like, whoa, this is actually dialogue.
Yeah. Well,
and then you get interested, in pretty much everything else that
it's
happens.
like the first 2/3 of the movie is a lot of like backstory and build up and like explaining stuff. And then the last third of the movie is like, whoa, there's a lot of shit going on right now.
Yeah.
But I actually just looked up the rating. And they have a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes right now and an 8.8 out of 10 on IMDb. So if you go by those ratings, not a bad movie.
I mean, we're definitely wrong. We're not good movie reviewers.
No, we're not. If you're tired and you go to Oppenheimer, it's not a bad place to take a nap. But also the thing about taking a nap during that movie is it's literally about bombs. So the shit's gonna wake you up.
It is about bombs.
It is.
I think
it's about one
more,
bomb in particular.
It's more about the trial.
Yeah, it's about.
Although it's not a court trial. It's more of a. It's a trial.
Yeah,
of some sort.
There's like 2 different storylines going on through the whole thing. But no, worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch. I am not a good critic by any means. I am not the guy that should tell you whether or not a movie is good. Oppenheimer is objectively well made. It's just I don't do well in 3-hour movies. So
the filming was amazing. The acting was immaculate. I really do think everybody in that role.
The cast is incredible.
The cast was amazing.
The cast was so good. Anyway.
Anyways, so yeah, let's. It's a good time to end it. Elijah, you want to do the honors?
Yeah, this is cool because this is the first time we get to do this. Where can the people find us, George?
Yeah, so they can find us at newwavepdx.com.
Boom.
And you can learn everything you need to know about not only the studio space, but also the podcast and just in general, more of our information.
Yeah, and more will be coming soon on that website. We really just wanted to get it up and get it out there so that, we can launch our reservation page here in the next week. But I worked hard on that shit. I worked hard on that website. And I'm excited to kind of build it up and make things a little bit more. But yeah, newwavepdx.com, New Wave Studio PDX on Instagram, New Wave Media PDX on Instagram. Go check us out. Thank you for watching. Peace.
I appreciate you all. Thank you.